This is part 1 of 3 parts for 8th grade geometry standard number 3. Our learning target for this lesson is I can describe the effect of translations, rotations, and reflections using coordinates. Now you'll notice that I skipped a word here. I skipped dilations. We will cover dilations in a separate section. For right now, we're only going to be discussing these 3 rigid motion transformations, which are translations, rotations, and reflections. We're going to discuss how the coordinates change. How does our x coordinate change? How does our y coordinate change when we do any of these 3 rigid motion transformations? And we're going to learn how to represent those changes in the coordinates using coordinate notation. That means we're going to be using symbols only to show how the x coordinate and the y coordinate are changed. So for the first part, part 1, we're going to be discussing translations. And I need 3 things in order to perform a translation. The first thing is that I need something to translate. I need a pre-image. And if you watch the video for 8G1, you know that the words pre-image and image, I get mixed up with those. Pre-image is what you have before. Pre means before. So I need something to translate, whatever my shape or figure is. And then I need to be told how far I'm going to move that shape. Translate this 3 units down or 4 units to the right. And you'll notice that in both of those examples, I just gave a distance and I also gave a direction. It's not enough to just say 2 units. I have to be specific with which direction. Now, those words, up and down, left and right, those are words I'm pretty confident you would know what to do with your pre-image. I don't think any of you are going to get mixed up if I say to translate something down, you would know to move it down. But we want to be a little bit more technical here, use some precise academic words. So our scholarly words, instead of up and down and left and right, are the words horizontal and vertical. So we're going to begin by talking about the word horizontal. When you see the word horizontal, I want you to think of the word horizon. Okay, so if you've taken an art class, the horizon is where the land meets the sky, and it's a horizontal line. Okay, the horizontal axis is controlled by which variable? Just circled it there. Horizontal movement is controlled by the x variable. And we've got 2 types of horizontal movement. We could be moving left or we could be moving right. Now, we're going to add on to this idea. If I am starting here at the origin, if I'm at 0, 0, and I move to the right, that is the positive part of my graph. And 0 here at the origin, and all my positive numbers traveling to the right, and all of my negative numbers traveling to the left. So what will happen if I am asked to translate a shape to the left? My x coordinates are going to be subtracted by the amount of units that I'm moving. That will move my shape to the left. If I need to move my pre-image to the right, translate it or slide it to the right, all of my x coordinates are going to have something added onto them, and that will take my shape and move it, slide it, translate it over to the right. In the same way, we have vertical change, and the vertical axis right here, it's our y-axis. It's controlled by the y coordinate, and we've got 2 types of vertical movement. We could be moving up, we could be moving down. Going back to the origin, going back to 0, 0, if I am traveling up, that is in the positive direction, that's where those positive numbers are. And if I travel down, I will find my negative part of my y-axis. So if I have a shape that is being translated up, the y coordinates will have something being added on to them. And that will shift my shape up. And in the same way, if I have a shape that is moving down, my y coordinates will have something subtracted from them. So let's go ahead and jump in with an example. I have my pre-image, it's the triangle you see here, triangle WEG, and I have the original coordinates listed here for our pre-image. And right now I do not have a distance or a direction. I'm going to go ahead and write it up here. I would like us to translate this triangle up 3 units. Now, up is not one of our scholarly words, so we're going to translate that in just a moment, but we're going to start by doing the translation and taking a look at the coordinates down here, comparing my pre-image coordinates to my image coordinates, so comparing the before to the after. So the way to do a translation is by translating each point. For example, point W needs to be translated up 1, 2, 3 units. This will be my new W, which I will call W prime. That lets me know that that is the new object. It's the image. And it lets me know that something has occurred to the original W. I've done one transformation. We're going to do the same thing for coordinate G. I'm going to move that, translate it 1, 2, 3 units up, and I will call that G prime. And we'll do the same thing here for E, sliding that 1, 2, oh, I ran out of room. E prime. Now, as I go to connect these points, you'll notice that my triangle is the same shape and the same size as the original, and the scholarly word for that, academic vocabulary word, is congruent. My pre-image and my image are congruent. They're the same shape and they're the same size. So let's take a look at what has happened to our coordinates. I'm going to start with W prime. W prime's location is at -1, 2, 3, 4, comma, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. -4, comma 5. Take a look at where W was. Take a look at where W is now. And think about where the number 3 is being shown in these coordinates. I'm going to go ahead and skip down to letter G. G prime is at -4, comma 1, 2, 3. -4, comma 3. Take a look at where G was and where G is now, and think about where you notice this shift of 3 units being shown in the coordinates. And for E prime, I can see that E prime is at 0, comma something. I'm not sure what that Y value is. I'm going to leave it blank for a moment. I'm going to grab my highlighter now so that we can take a closer look at our coordinates and see maybe if there's something happening here. Here's our original X values, -4, 0, and -4. Here are our new X values, -4, 0, and -4. So did our X coordinates change? No, they didn't change. And I want to take a moment real quick to figure out why they didn't change. Well, the X coordinate controls left-right horizontal movement. Look at what we've done to this shape. It started here, and it shifted or translated up 3 units. We did not move it to the left. We did not move it to the right. So it makes sense that our X values remained the same. There was no horizontal movement. So down here, where I'm going to write how my X value changed, I'm not going to write anything. My X value is still my X value. Okay, let's grab a different color. Let's take a look here at our Y values. My original Y value for W was 2, and now it's 5. How much did it change by? Well, it changed by 3. It increased by 3. Let's check to see if that happened on G and G prime as well. G was at 0, and now it's at 3. That also changed by 3 units. Add 3. So I'm going to go ahead and write down here what is happening to my Y values. They're being translated 3 units up. And again, I'm going to jump back here. Up is the positive direction. That's why it is y plus 3. That's going to help me fill in this one that I wasn't super sure about. My original y coordinate for E was at 3. Well, if I add 3 onto that, 3 plus 3 gives me 6. This E prime is located at 0, 6. So how we show this then in coordinate notation is this. Here are my original points. They were all x, y. And how have they changed? Well, the x's didn't change. I'm going to write it exactly like that. All of my x's remained the same. But my y's, on the other hand, they did change. They went up by 3. That's how my pre-image landed 3 units above where it started. Let's go ahead and try this same shape. Got my pre-image. I need a distance and a direction. Let's go ahead and translate this one left 1 unit. Now, I know that you're going to go the correct direction on this. We're going to move to the left, but what we're really looking at are the coordinates. I want to see how the coordinates change when I do this. I'm going to go a little bit quicker on this one since we just practiced. W moving 1 unit to the left will land it right here, and I will call that W prime. G moving 1 unit to the left will land here, G prime. And E moving 1 unit to the left for E prime. I'm going to draw my new triangle in. I'm going to notice that my new triangle is the same size and shape as my original triangle. That means these 2 triangles are congruent. Same size, same shape. Only thing that has happened, it has shifted, translated, it has slid to the left. Let's look at our coordinates now. It looks like W prime is at negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, comma 2. Negative 5, comma 2. Please start looking at W and W prime. What do you notice that's the same? What do you notice that's different? Keeping in mind this idea of 1 unit. All right, let's go ahead and do G. Negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, comma 0. Negative 5, comma 0. Take a look at G. Take a look at G prime, thinking about where do you notice a 1? What's happening with that 1? Oh, good. E actually landed on my graph this time. That'll make it easier for me to count. Negative 1, comma 1, 2, 3. Negative 1, comma 3. Please compare E to E prime. Thinking about 1, what do you notice? And I'm going to grab my highlighter here so we can take a closer look. Let's look at our x values just like we did last time. They were negative 4, 0, negative 4. Now take a look at what they are. Did our x values change this time? Yeah, they absolutely did. Left 1 unit. So I noticed that the numbers have changed by 1, but they have not increased by 1. They have decreased by 1, and that's super important. That goes back to the notes that we made on that very first page, that moving to the left, that's a negative direction. My x values are being subtracted. Terrible subtraction sign. My x values are being subtracted, losing 1 unit. Negative 4 minus 1 is negative 5. 0 minus 1 is negative 1. And negative 4 minus 1 lands me at negative 5. So now let's go ahead and let's take a look at our y values. They were 2, 3, and 0. And now they are 2, 3, and 0. So did our y values change? No, our y values didn't change. Then let's talk about y. Remember that the y-axis, y values control up, down, vertical movement. This pre-image shifted to the left. It only moved to the left. It did not move up. It did not move down. So there's no reason for our y values to change when we've only moved horizontally. So let's go ahead and write in coordinate notation what is happening here. I started with x comma y, all my original points, and here's how they have changed. The x's have decreased by 1. That means horizontally I have moved 1 to the left, comma, y. So translating left 1 unit using these scholarly words of horizontal and vertical, here's how I would have to write that. Left 1 unit is the same thing as saying, please translate this shape horizontally -1 unit. The important part there is that negative. If I leave that negative off and I say, please translate this shape horizontally 1 unit, that is asking me to move my shape to the right. That would be taking this triangle, and instead of moving 1 unit to the left, I would be moving it 1 unit to the right. It's a completely different translation. So what could happen is being asked to do 2 translations, both vertically and horizontally. I'm going to write this one using the scholarly words so that we can try and figure out what's happening. I would like us to translate this shape horizontally 2 units and vertically 3 units. That is 2 movements that I'm asking to happen. All right. Horizontal. Which variable controls horizontal movement? X. I can always check on my graph here. Here's my horizontal line. There's an X right there as a reminder. 2 units. 2 units. It's positive. There's no negative sign there, so that means I would be moving X to the right 2 units. That would look like this. Plus 2. All of my X's are going to get 2 added onto them. Vertically, which letter controls vertical movement? I can check my graph. Here's my vertical axis. There's that Y there to remind me. Vertical is up, down. I see the number 3. It's positive. That means my Y's would be getting 3 added on to them. How would I know if it was moving down? That would look like this. If I change this problem to say, I would like you to move this shape vertically -3 units, that is different than what I asked the first time. That means this shape is shifting vertically -3. -3 vertically means down. If this is the problem, then what is going to happen to the Y's? They're going to be less than they were before by 3. So I'm going to show one value. I'm going to show the location of W prime using this coordinate notation. My X was -4, and what is happening to it? +2. -4 plus 2 is -2. My new X coordinate is -2. All right, what about my Y? It was 2. 2 minus 3. 2 minus 3 is -1. My new Y value is -1. I'm going to graph this. -2, comma, -1. This is where I believe W prime should be. Now let's check to see if that worked. 2 units horizontally. 1, 2. Yep, 2 units horizontally. Let's check. Did I go 3 units vertically? Negative. 1, 2, 3. I did. I'd like you to please finish E prime and G prime, both listing the locations, showing where the coordinates are on the picture, and connecting them so that you can see if our pre-image and image are congruent.